This video is going to be about a mindset and even a spiritual posture, or I guess I could say level of demonization that you could get stuck in during or once you're done doing the runaway Layla till 18 thing. I didn't write much, but I wrote a little bit of notes. I've been thinking about making this for some days now, and not some days, probably some weeks or months. Honestly, I thought I did at one point, but I don't know. I may have mentioned in another video that's already in the, what is it called? How to Escape Abuse Under 18 playlist or something like that. This is probably going to be short, hopefully. Runaway cycle / vagabond spirit. The first moments of running is scary, but like a euphoric high, you get hope that it may be possible to finally escape your abuse. Hope that you won't end up dead and or stuck in the pipeline of the systems. But this can get you stuck in a cycle of running because it's the only thing that ever worked. Especially because 9 out of 10, you don't have friends or family. And so even at 18 plus, you can feel stuck in a mindset of loneliness and not fitting in. And even like you have nowhere to go, no one to turn to, nowhere to run to. And that's another reason why, even once people turn 18, they may still just keep running around because they don't have anywhere to go or anybody to go to. As you get older, this can weigh down on you. Loneliness can make you lose your mind too, if you're really isolated, and if your wait till 18 is really long. So like the people who that end up getting really messed up because they've been out here since they were 7 and didn't have anyone to talk to about the situation, or if they don't end up like losing their mind, they just end up committing suicide. So there's that. Which makes me think about this documentary that I seen. It's actually pretty old, but it goes into what I've been saying. I only found out about this documentary like a week ago. And I have been saying for a really long time that street kids has been a big thing in the West Coast for forever. It's never been like, even though people pretend that it doesn't happen in America, of course, but it's never really been a secret in the West Coast. So there's like people who run around homeless by themselves, like even in early childhood, and then end up dying or something. I'm going to put the video in the description of this documentary. It's also in this playlist I made about how not to run away under 18. But yeah, and the bad thing is, the specific boy that I'm thinking about, he got kidnapped by the Cash for Kids system, of course, and thrown into a group home, and then that's when he killed himself. And it makes sense. It makes sense that that happened after he was forced into the group home, because obviously he wouldn't be allowed to leave either. And you can only imagine what all stuff was done to him in the group home. And most other kids in the documentary ended up getting killed too, so yeah. And I guess that was before it was like really a big thing for the Cash for Kids system and the police to work hand in hand to really try to scrape people who are homeless under 18 up and lock them up in different placements. Dang, where was I? Isolated and your wait till 18 is really long. Okay, then what I had to say about the vagabond spirit. The vagabond spirit comes in through rejection, of course, along with the spirits of rejection and abandonment and plenty others, which of course all this stuff comes in through trauma. I actually met some foster kids with this like a year back. They went to the resource center that I had recently found out about it that time, and I mean, their lifestyle was pretty cool though. Like, if I had a car and I could drive, I'd honestly be doing that too. To a certain extent though. Well, if I had a car, could drive, and my health wasn't the way it is. So, of course, they're dumped out foster kids. They were 19 at the time. It was this boy and his girlfriend. They had a van, like one of those old school hippie vans. And they pretty much just traveled around the US. And then they would break into concerts. And her boyfriend was a painter, and he sold his art that he painted at the concerts and other places. And he was really good at painting too. And then she made clothes or something. But I mean, it makes sense though, because well, it makes sense that people fall into this just running around. And I should say there's nothing wrong with traveling, but it's like sometimes you just fall into certain mindsets. And what I was gonna say is it makes sense because I mean, it's not like they have anywhere else to go or anyone else to stay with. So of course people commonly fall into this. And I'm gonna put this video in the description again that I put in the description of another video a couple weeks ago or something like that, where this girl who was in the same areas that I was in at one point, and she had the same, not the same, but similar situation. Obviously, she had to do the whole lay low till 18 thing. Hers was more exciting though. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little more exciting for her. She also did do the partner thing originally, which I don't recommend that for so many different reasons. I talk about this in the playlist. But trying to leave with people is bound to go left for so many different reasons. For one, you don't even know if you and the other kids that you leave with would even get along. And then there's commonly this one at the bunch whose trauma symptoms make them commit a lot of crimes. And so they put everybody at risk because they get in trouble with the law. And sometimes they're already running from the law. And then the police are really looking for them, which can then put everybody else at risk. And there's the people who won't even meet you halfway. There's the people who say yes at first, but then they switch up last minute, and then they snitch on you because they're scared. So much stuff. But anyway, yeah, so they ended up getting interviewed, quote unquote interviewed, and someone wanted them to sing one of the songs that they had wrote. And the song really captures the emotions that you have when you're doing the Laylo to 18 thing. She talks about how, like, you go through a whole bunch of abuse, and then when you leave, you're hiding and you're scared because you're having to hide from the cops for years, and then you're asking for advice, but nobody has advice to give because the only thing you really can do is hide till 18, and there's nothing anybody else can do. Or at least the things that people can do, nobody wants to do. I'll say that. And what else? Yeah, that's the parts that I really remember. And one of her hooks is freedom means that there's nothing to lose but yourself, or there's nothing left to lose but yourself. Something like that. I also noticed that in the comment section, somebody has said it's not really true that they like this lifestyle or something like that. And then people were like, you're just projecting. And then the lady who recorded it was like, they seem pretty happy to me. But that person who made that comment, they're right. That girl is not happy. There's nothing really good about having this situation as the only option. And you may convince yourself that you have a choice, but you really don't. Because, I mean, let's be realistic. She wouldn't be able to afford a place anyway, and that's just a lot, especially when you already have all types of trauma symptoms. But there's just so much I could say about that. Not to mention, I wouldn't be surprised if she was a victim of the cash for kids system to a certain extent. And what was I about to say? Oh yeah, so that would be another thing that would make her really see the truth of the world and the systems and the wage slave and what taxes actually go towards, which is the cash for kids system and human trafficking. Of course, I don't really know that. I've never asked her about that, but I don't know. I just like, what was I gonna say? I don't know. I don't know what I was about to say. But yeah, that person's right. They're really not enjoying it. In fact, she keeps her the bad things that happen off TikTok because of course on TikTok people are like worried about her and her situation. So the bad things that happen, like the experiences that she's had in big cities, she only mentions those on other sites. And I already have plenty of videos on here telling you all the different reasons why not to go to big cities and never to stay in big cities. I mean, you really can't stay in a big city unless you want somebody to set your tent on fire and spit on it. Not to mention the police, and it's just hard to like really find a spot there. Just so many things. One, trafficking, that would be the number one. Or just being attacked by anybody. But yeah, so trying to think if there's anything else I could say about this. I just like really want people to know there's definitely a certain mindset you have to have, and it can definitely be pretty hard. But I mean, trying to think, even if you do have friends and like you weren't like either so traumatized to where you really couldn't talk to people or where people just felt like you were really weird or you weren't really isolated, if I didn't already say that part. So like if you actually did get to go to school and you did get to like be around other people your age, you may have had friends, but are those friends even safe people to keep talking to while you're on the run? Or would they just eventually snitch because, quote unquote, they got scared for you and all that other bullcrap that people do? Or are they not really your friends anyway and they're just some people you're trauma bonding with because that's all you know? Because I'm not even gonna lie, when I wasn't being an annoying limber secession person, well, no, I still kind of was at this point in time, but when I wasn't the issue, with people who honestly really were my friends still at the end of the day, and they were just, I don't know, I guess being nice. When other people were the issue, they were the abusive friend that I was trauma bonded with, which still is kind of me being the issue because that's codependency, and codependency is accidental manipulation. But I mean, of course, it's still not really my fault because I mean, how would I know that? But yeah, so that stuff was pretty much a long time ago, though. I kind of stopped the whole buddy friend thing a couple years ago. Not completely until, like, honestly, it wasn't even really that I completely stopped. It's just that my situation was so isolated, I didn't really have the chance to meet anybody else after a while. So it made it easier for me to stop throwing myself into these bullcrap little friendships, quote unquote friendships. But the bad thing is, I get really nervous around people my age. It's like if somebody isn't like 20 plus, I get really nervous around them. And then younger kids, I don't know, just seeing them gives me flashbacks. Especially when they're with their parents, or really when anybody's with their parents or family, that gives me flashbacks. But it also makes me think about like how I'm just kind of out here and not even out here. It's not about being out here because that's the thing though. People think that the issue is being homeless or quote unquote homeless, but that's not the issue. The issue is all the trauma and the family stuff that actually has you out here. Because the people who are homeless with their families don't have the issues that the majority have in their situation, and their experience is just so different. Like this one lady said to me, who's she's 20 now, but she was homeless her whole life. And she spent like a lot of her life in Hawaii. She was actually born in Hawaii, but her parents are from Cali or something. And actually her dad OD'd. Her mom is still homeless in Hawaii, but she was homeless her whole life pretty much with her parents. And like she had told me, even though she was homeless, her situation was still different because she had a dad and a brother. And also her mom was there, but she didn't really mention her. So, yeah, that's the difference that people don't get. Because, like, I honestly feel like it's not really the house thing that's the issue. Because, I mean, I'm trying to figure out how to put it. Wait a minute. Okay, I think I figured out a good way to put it. Hopefully, this is going to make some type of sense. So, like, you can learn to hunt, which like I always say, everybody should be learning this. If you're not learning this right now, you're setting yourself up. Honestly, I'm pretty much slacking behind learning what I was supposed to, and the time limit I wanted to, because, like I said, my health is pretty messed up, and it's been for years, and it's like kind of in pain pretty often. It's hard for me to really do the things I'm supposed to be doing when it comes to like learning all those things, but I'm still trying, and everybody definitely should. So you can learn to hunt, you can learn to build shelter. You can, what was the other thing? It was something else. Okay, wait a minute. All those different things you need to learn. Wilderness survival, pretty much. You can learn that, and then that can make the homelessness not be that bad. Although I do get that people who are just really used to modernization and modern living, it's just really hard to get used to things that probably aren't even in your epigenetics anymore. So, okay, wait a minute. Okay, you get used to that, but you can't really get used to like being, I don't know, not having a family. And it's hard to explain because the thing is, obviously, if you had to do this whole Layla's 18 thing, you never really had a family in the first place. And me personally, I broke free from all the cognitive dissonance and gaslighting at 14. So I'm really lucky compared to most people. So I'm not longing to go back to that. I don't have anything to go back to when it comes to like relatives. But it's like, I don't know, the idea of having a healthy family that's not demonized and dysfunctional. And it's, I don't know. That's just where the hard part comes in. And like I said in other videos, people don't want to talk about the real number one cause to homelessness. Sure, like these days, the economic agendas are playing a big role, but homelessness didn't just start when Joe Biden got in office, as the people in Left Right Mind Hurting will tell you. And it's so funny when people say that. Left Right Mind Hurting to me is just, it's really just hilarious. It's like a pinball game. But it's been an issue, and the number one issue is a breakdown in the family system. It's not anything else that people try to say it is. I mean, sure, these days a lot of people like are becoming homeless because of economic agendas, but that's still pretty much a new thing, and people have been out here since 1974 and all that. People have been out here since they were 7, 10, 12 years old. So yeah, that's the economic thing. That's new. And I still will say that's not even the case for most. In fact, I wanted to mention this. I almost forgot this. I was thinking about actually making a video specifically about this. There's this dude on YouTube named Adam Bies. Now, I'm not in Left Right Mind Hurting. Obviously, I could go on a whole rant about that, but this is already 20 minutes. And I know people are going to feel some type of way about how well, honestly, it doesn't really seem like him going to jail for what he did really has much to do with it. It sounds like he was dating, like, a narc. Wait, no, not dating. He was married to a narc. And then her true colors really showed after the whole prison thing. Or before that, something like that. That's what it sounds like to me, anyway. It sounds like he was honestly never in a good relationship. But anyway, basically, after he got out of prison, he became homeless. Because, of course, that's what they do. But it sounds like his situation is changing for the better because he has a friend to move in with in Texas. He's in NY, I'm pretty sure. And the PO officers or whatever they're called approved for him to move there. And he's a programmer. It sounds like he's skilled in digital design or digital art and software development. And he previously had a good career, so like what people who are in the Matrix look up to and say is doing what you're supposed to do, quote unquote, he did all of that. But his situation really shows that if you don't have friends or family, you're pretty much, regardless of what you can do, you're commonly still pretty much screwed. It kind of reminds me of what I always say about the Cash for Kids system. Or just, well, yeah, the system's put in place to, like, put you in a failure, not even a failure cycle. I would describe it as really a kidnapping cycle where you get locked up and you get drugged and they make some money off of you and they molest you and they further traumatize you. Then they put you in the prison pipeline. Those systems, which of course I usually just refer to as a Cash for Kids system. People don't understand that if you don't have a family or a healthy family, that pretty much screws you over. And it's really hard to get out. Like, honestly, if I wouldn't have ran, I'd probably be dead or locked up in jail somewhere over something that didn't even happen. Because if you've been here since the abuse evidence videos, you would know my mom had new lies every day. At one point, I was working with the cartel. I was building guns and selling them at school, even though I barely was ever allowed to even go to school. So, yeah, you may remember that. And these systems are put in place for people in situations like I was in, and like the other people I describe in these videos every day, to keep us on a cash cow cycle. I don't know. So yeah, that's what this reminds me of. If you don't have like a family, you are set up to be screwed over. You can't get out. It's honestly not easy. It's a miracle that I was even born with the mindset I was, because I mean there's people in their 30s still going back and forth about whether they're really being abused, still living with their parents too, going back and forth about whether they're really being abused, whether it's really that bad, whether their mom should be giving them showers, whether their dad should be trying to stab them every other day. So yeah, I'm really lucky that I broke free from all the gaslighting stuff at 14. Thank God, in 2020, with the YouTube, TikTok rabbit hole, which I always describe this way, where like, now I'm kind of forgetting. So basically, I found out about toxic. I think was it toxic friends or no? I think first I searched or found out about the term toxic. Then I found toxic partners, then toxic family, then toxic parents. Then this is YouTube, TikTok. So I think the first couple was YouTube. Then on TikTok, I did some research on it. From toxic parents, dysfunctional family, narcissistic family system, narcissistic parent. And honestly, I cry every time I talk about it because it's just like a good memory. And then everything made sense. And then I finally understood that what I was going through wasn't some weird phenomenon. And now I gotta stop recording before I start crying. But it's a good cry.